Fellow Sadzaitas, it's been a while since I gave you guys a detailed update on current affairs. In the past week, I have received several messages, emails and inquiries regarding the goings-on in the ZANU-PF factional fiasco, and in particular, the Geza revolution. Well, I don't know. Should we even still call it a revolution? Was it ever a revolution? And what happened to the signal? Do we all still remember the signal? Did that signal ever come? Was the March 31st demo a signal? Or rather, the signal? Did I not tell you that the signal can only come at the behest of the military? Did I not warn people never to assume that the whole military wants ED gone? Didn't I get attacked in the comment section when I warned people never to underestimate ED? They don't call him the crocodile for nothing. His mismanagement of the economy has nothing, absolutely nothing to do with his political cunningness. But I'm happy that my YouTube channel has been the most accurate in reporting this issue. I don't make silly predictions. I don't tell you what you want to hear. I simply spit the facts, the bitter, ugly truth, even if it makes you uncomfortable. The problem in Zimbabwe is that citizens are desperate for change. So therefore, any whisper of hope, no matter how small it is, no matter how faint or imperceptible, Zimbos will latch onto it, grab it with both hands, and run with it. That explains why we easily get used. Akuitiswa. So my job is to give you clarity, to show you the bigger picture, to separate truth from lies, facts from fiction, proper news from propaganda, marinating you with all the details without fear or favor, because on this platform, we say it as it is. Well, fellow Sadzaitas, slay queens and bingers, socialites, papalites, vasinamalites, varikudya rice, nevasinama rice. Welcome to the special report. Days ago, Blessed Geza made an address in which he begged General Chiwenga and the military to intervene and stop President Mnangagwa. All along, many people have been rallying behind Geza under the assumption that he has a strong military backing. In fact, it is Geza himself who made people believe that the military or a greater part of it was backing him. When he started his addresses, he was only targeting ED and Zigananda. Everyone else in ZANU-PF was safe. He even complained about the suspicious high number of deaths in the military, which he called assassinations. Which assassinations he blamed on ED. Long story short, Geza was looking out for the military, defending the military, advocating for the military. And it made a lot of sense because he's a member of the war veterans community, which is pretty much a reserve military force for ZANU-PF, deployed in every election as political commissars to make sure that ZANU-PF wins at all cost. A practice which started in 1980. So when people saw Geza wearing military gear, they said, "Henaro, here comes a man of action. Here comes victory, and out goes ED." Geza made promises, and plenty of them. Maybe he overpromised, or maybe people believed too much. Whatever the case, many people genuinely believed that a new Zimbabwe was now within reach. But video after video, I warned people, don't underestimate ED. I also said that at the end of the day, Geza is a politician, and all politicians lie. You must take everything he says with a pinch of salt. Not everything said by Geza is true or accurate. Some of it is propaganda, meant to either stir up the people or bring some form of confusion in the enemy's camp. In his first address, wearing military gear, Blessed Geza said, "Mnangagwa igwara, anoziva pandiri but ari kutya kuuya kuzonditora." Upon hearing this, many people concluded that Geza was under military protection, with some even theorizing that he was being kept at KG6. Weeks later, he planned a 2-day national shutdown, claiming that the military would protect and defend the people if called upon to do so. He also claimed that the military would soon arrest Zvigananda, after which ED would be forced to step down. Of course, none of this ever happened. But the impression Geza was giving is that he has a sufficient military backing and that ED stands no chance. That is why many were surprised to hear Geza begging Chiwenga and Sibanda to intervene. What happened to the progressive units of the military, which he said are on standby for deployment? What happened to the arrest of Zvigananda, which he said was imminent? He called for people to demonstrate, assuring them of military protection. So, if the people had turned out in their numbers on the 31st of March, is it safe to conclude that they were not going to get the military protection Geza had promised? So, why am I saying all this? Well, I don't want you to have a false hope. And I don't want you to think that things will be what they won't be. I mean, how many times have I said that statement over the past few months? There are so many red flags in all of this, and I've been flagging those flags since this whole drama started. The first red flag for me was Geza's proposal for a transitional authority. Remember, initially, Geza and his comrades said that they were pushing for the removal of ED, after which a transitional authority would then be put in place to reform all our political systems, pending the holding of free and fair elections at a future date. Now, I knew straight away that this proposal would not work because Geza had already declared his support for Chiwenga. You can't base your authority on the military and declare your support for VP Chiwenga and then propose for the formation of a transitional authority made up of non-political actors. A transitional authority will not work as long as ZANU-PF is in the picture. Furthermore, any idea of a transitional authority that doesn't involve the military won't materialize in Zimbabwe because the military is the biggest stockholder in Zimbabwean politics. You can't wish them away. I have said it countless times that Geza is not against ZANU-PF. He is against ED. ED and ZANU-PF are not the same thing. To be anti-ED doesn't mean anti-ZANU-PF. In any event, he has actually maintained that he remains a member of the ZANU-PF Central Committee despite him having been fired and expelled. Once a ZANU-PF, always a ZANU-PF. No one leaves ZANU-PF and survives outside the party for long. It just doesn't happen. Those who leave the party always return. The ones who don't return are the ones who leave politics for good, like Simba Makoni, Ray Kaukonde, Rugare Gumbo, and a few others. That's the reason why Kasukwere hasn't formed a political party, because he wants to go back and lead ZANU-PF if the opportunity presents itself. No one survives and thrives in politics after leaving ZANU-PF. Tekere tried it in 1990 but failed. He later applied for readmission into the party. The same applies to Didmas Mutasa, Zikamai Mavaire, and even Jonathan Moyo. Well, Jonathan Moyo is interesting because he left ZANU-PF and later came back only to get expelled again in 2017 after the coup. And just now, he is literally 5 centimeters away from rejoining ZANU-PF. Once a ZANU-PF, always a ZANU-PF. Mugabe said it. He said, it is cold outside the party. Those who leave and return, they return because kunenge kwa kutonora. Kwatonora ere na professor. Murukuda bachi ra Geza ere. Zvino ra Geza racho rinenge risingasadzieka ere. Geza wacho akutoda bachi ra generari nera Valerio. From saying ED is a coward to saying General, please intervene. Ndofira musango ere nekuda kwa ED. What happened to the tough-talking, bold-looking Geza who took no prisoners? The Geza who roasted ED for fun, calling him a dum-dum. A week is a very long time in the game of politics. Remember, this is exactly what Jonathan Moyo was doing when he got expelled in 2017. The professor was so bitter. He threw all sorts of insults and attacks against ED. He even supported Nelson Chamisa during the 2018 elections. Not because he likes Chamisa or that he believes in his leadership, but simply because he wanted ED gone. He hoped that Chamisa would remove ED, but it wasn't to be. At one point, Professor Jonathan Moyo said, and I quote, "The devastating reality of Mnangagwa's presidential incapacity is there for all to see." He even said that he would never rejoin ZANU-PF no matter what. Passing ZANU-PF became his daily slogan. But on the 16th of November 2022, we woke up to a Jonathan Moyo letter of apology to ZANU-PF, a party he had sworn never to rejoin. And of course, it was just a letter of apology. He wasn't seeking readmission, but you get the point. And why am I saying all of this? Well, I want you to understand the dynamics of ZANU-PF politics, particularly during factional battles. Chizanu-zanu achingokubuda zvekudaro, chiri muropa mutsinga mu bone marrow, and izvi hazvinzwisiswe nevaya vari bone shallow. Pamabars Tafindi King, he was born Pharaoh. The biggest mistake many Zimbabweans make is to underestimate ED. They think that ED is dumb. Well, I have news for you. He is not. His mismanagement of the economy has nothing to do with his political shrewdness, or rather I should say, his political cunningness. Politics is not economics. Your ability to outmaneuver your political opponents has nothing to do with your ability to fix the economy. Let that be clear. The difference between ED and Mugabe is that ED is actually expecting his enemies to make a move against him, so he has made countless contingencies. But what has made it worse for Geza is that he always reveals his plan, giving ED enough time to play his cards right. Do you know how many times ED has reshuffled the military command, literally micromanaging it to suit his agenda? That's why I said, never make an assumption that the whole military is against ED. Never assume that the whole military is anti-2030 either. Yes, ZANU-PF factionalism is exactly the way it was in 2017, but the big difference is that the military hasn't publicly taken a side because there hasn't been any need to, at least not yet. Remember, what escalated things in 2017 was the firing of ED and the overtures made by Mugabe to try and arrest the generals. It was now a question of survival. Had they not staged that coup, they would have been arrested. But at the moment, is there any pressure at all for General Swanda to stage another not a coup? Is there any pressure? Is there any bad blood between ED and General Philip Valerio Swanda? Won't we see General Swanda getting retired and possibly replacing the ailing Mohadi as VP? That is not a statement of fact, by the way, so don't quote me on that. It's just a rhetorical question. But the point is, there is currently no pressure at all for the top commanders to make a move on ED. Geza now realizes this, hence his recent address begging Chiwenga and Swanda to do something. 2 weeks ago, Christopher Manize Muchangwa said that what makes ZANU-PF different from the opposition is that even when they fight, they find ways to talk things through and make it work. Hanzina Muchangwa, tirivana vanyamunu. He was obviously saying this in reference to his beef with Chiwenga. But there are two things here. Muchangwa admits that factionalism had indeed gotten out of hand in ZANU-PF. But he also makes it clear that, at least, no matter how ugly things become, ZANU-PF leaders can rise above their differences and make it work. The only question is, For how long will they keep their differences in check? Remember, the issue of succession has still not been resolved. Resolution number 1 has still not been actioned. Will ED step down in 2028 and hand over power to someone else? Who is that someone else? Is it General Chiwenga? Is it General Svanda? Or is it General Manize? Or maybe Tagwirei? Well, whatever happens, I'll be here to marinate you with all the details without fear or favor, because on this platform, we say it as it is. And as always, thank you so much for watching. And if you enjoy the content, please like and share.